from Hope and Jones looking for the Pandora's box, all the way to a strange character showing up on the island and stalking everyone. This is everything you need to know from Fortnite Season 3, starting with day 1 all the way to the very end. Fortnite Season 3 is here, and there's a giant bunker that showed up on the island with it. This bunker is super mysterious and nobody knows what's underneath it yet, but I think that I just figured out what is. There are many secret storylines hidden within this update, the rest of the gods missing, with Cerberus being on the island still, the Wanderer still draws near, but isn't here yet, and many more things. Before I can explain the bunker, let's take a look at the overall season and how we got here. The sandstorm came closer and closer until it came to our island, and this boat showed up with it. And after this boat arrived, the people invaded, setting up camps all over the sand biome. And these people are trying to take over the island. And this is Megalodon, the boss of these people. So he's here and he is not here to help us. He's trying to take over the island. But also his ship has run out of fuel. So he has invaded and planted these nitro farms everywhere. And the nitro is currently charging up and fueling his boat so he can get back on the water. So now it's up to Hope, Jones, and us to stop them. So now that you know the main part of the storyline, we will soon be able to talk about the bunker. We have to look into some other things first. My original thought was that the Wanderer was with the Megalodon group and the sandstorm, and this was completely correct, but we'll talk about it more in a minute. Pandora's box exploded and left some giant evil things, one of them being Megalodon's group and one of them being the Wanderer. And the Wanderer is still not here, so we're trying to figure out who the Wanderer is and what they're going to do. And I think we have an inside source on who it might be. If you go up to the underworld, it's not the underworld. If you go up to Grim Gate, Cerberus is still there, which is weird considering every other Greek god is gone. And you can actually ask him about this. When you ask him about the gods, he says, Zeus fell down, ha ha ha. The gods have gone to find new domains. My master has left me here to prepare for her arrival. And that's all he says about that. But when you ask him about her arrival, he says she will arrive on the sweet summer wind. Do not talk to the queen. Do not bother the queen. She is taking a little vacation and needs her rest. Now, this leads us to wonder many things. Who is she that he is talking to? Why is he calling her queen? And what does this have to do with anything? Okay, so we have the answer to this question, but we explain it a little bit later. So stay tuned. Hades specifically told Cerberus to wait for her and that she will come on the summer wind. Summer is just around the corner, but we don't even know who this is yet. But we do have some small leads. Because around the island, we have some big secrets hidden. On the train that has now been broken down and is no longer in use, there is a spray paint that looks like some weird, mysterious character. And there are things leading us to believe that this is the Wanderer. And get this same character is hidden in the loading screen for Megalodon. So this is very confusing. Is this the Wanderer, or is this a new character? And now, we finally have to answer the question that everybody's been asking. Is Megalodon Gunner? Like, seriously, he looks exactly like him. The first time we saw him in that little teaser trailer, everybody thought it was Gunner immediately. But that doesn't really make sense, because Gunner died to Dr. Doom in the comics. So why would he be back now? He's not even a part of the IO anymore, so this doesn't even make sense. But actually, it might make sense. First off, look at him. He's got the same hair, and guess what? They don't even take his mask off so we can't see his face. But if you look at his mask, it looks identical to the mask that Gunner was wearing. But of course, it seems unlogical. So let's break it down. Gunner died to Dr. Doom, and next season is leaked to be a Marvel season, with Dr. Doom being the main face. Maybe Dr. Doom will come back to destroy Gunner if Gunner survives. Megalodon is also using Nitro to fuel him permanently. You would think that this could just be a benefit to make him more powerful. But what if it's because he was almost dead and they needed something to bring him back to life and keep him alive? What if he's relying on the nitro to survive? But also, we haven't seen Dr. Sloan yet, and we know that she is back eventually. She's been seen on one of the monitors, and we know that she'll come eventually. But maybe after season OG, they don't even know each other, and in this reality, maybe they never even met each other in the first place. In season OG, Dr. Sloan said that we would see each other again, but it would not be the same version of her. Maybe that's the same for Gunnar as well. Maybe this time, Gunnar is just a part of some weird group of people that want power. And what was Gunnar known for back in Chapter 3? Yeah, his fancy gloves. And guess what? In this season, there's something called Nitro Fists, which are basically the same thing he used to have. Coincidence? Maybe. And finally, we can hear Jones and Hope having a conversation. Everything is normal, pretty much they're just arguing, until at the end when Hope says something very disturbing. Take a listen.
Jones, you're late.
I just dethroned the King of Olympus. I think I've earned some downtime.
First of all, we dethroned the King of Olympus. Second, no. I've been watching Megalodon. I don't like what I see.
I don't care.
Bring your friend.
Okay.
My sister, Valeria, is the arrogant super genius who found a way to summon Pandora's box. So I kind of consider myself on the hook for fixing this ever-expanding mess. You know, Jones.
Just so you know, Hope here has a little bit of a habit of picking a fight with the biggest bully she can find. So we should make sure that we are in fighting shape.
I spent some time poking around Meg's camp. I was right. The man's a full-blown wannabe tyrant. He wants to take the island. And he might just be strong enough. But he's not gonna make his move until his little shark ship is refueled. Which explains the pipeline. Jones and I are gonna keep gathering intel. You keep fighting.
She's got her sights set on Megalodon.
Make us look good. Hey, Jones? I heard something out there I really don't like. Maybe it's time for us to round up the surveillance equipment.
Like, bad something or bad something?
Just chatter. I hope.
So now we know that Megalodon is planning something, but we don't know what it is yet until Hope tells us. But there's one more secret about Hope that was revealed this season. She used to work with the Society before she joined the Underground. The reason we know this is because Oscar is back on the island for some reason. He left the Society. They all left the island or died. One or the other, I don't know. But he survived and stayed back. But he also explained that Hope used to be a part of the Society and then left it after figuring out who they really were. So that's interesting. We finally got some more backstory on Hope. But we have so many mysteries to solve still. And I promise they're all going to be solved soon. Right after you subscribe. Starting with Chapter 2's island being hidden in-game and each season looking more and more like Chapter 2. There are many secrets and Easter eggs pointing towards the return of Chapter 2. Some players have realized that when in the car and controlling the turret, you hold an iPad. And this iPad shows the Chapter 2 island. This could be a teaser for Season OG too, but that's not the only thing teasing the return of Chapter 2. And we have 15 other secrets in-game that we need to look at. It's been over 3 years since we have had Chapter 2, but players are speculating that Chapter 2 will be the next Season OG. Fortnite reintroduced Midas, only for him to leave again a week later. But why would he leave and where did he go? Well, I think we all know the answer I'm about to give. He went to Chapter 2. Okay, but where is the evidence? Well, the user Me, Myself, and AJ just found a huge secret that directly hints towards this. And it's been right in front of us since the very beginning of Chapter 2, and it lies beyond the island. Forever in Fortnite there have been these outer islands. These have never had anything to do with the storyline or anything in game until Pandora's box struck one and caused the sand to come to our island. Now, whether you believe that or not, the outer islands mean something. Fortnite is at least trying to show us something here, and I'm about to explain why. In Chapter 2, even on day 1, when Cypher jumped out of the bus, it was there. There was an outer island that looked like this, and in Chapter 5, there's one that we see the exact same. And you might be thinking, oh, but this is just a reused asset. But it's inverted, which You would think if it's a reused asset, they wouldn't take the time to invert it, which means we are probably seeing it from the other side that Chapter 2 saw it from. Could we possibly be seeing this mountain from the other side? This isn't the only secret in Chapter 5 though. We still have many more secrets that are just as juicy as this one, including the return of Valeria. These little blue guys dancing and singing have been around since Chapter 2. Some people call them coral buddies, but in Chapter 5 they had their own little pirate cave. But this cave was just the beginning, because they made their way to the giant Mount Olympus statue and somehow survived the whole live event. I wonder what they'll do next. But that isn't the only mystery that has been stuck around since Season 1. Hope, the main character of Chapter 5, is still here, and she's on the hunt for something. In her room, you can see a strange piece of Pandora's box. When speaking with her, she says she is on the hunt for Pandora's box with Jones, and they need to find it for some reason. But the reason is revealed when you look at the spray above the piece of Pandora's box. This spray is Pandora's box, obviously, but there is one difference from this spray and the regular box that teases everything. Before we explain that, we need to explain what happened to Chaos Agent. Because in the trailer, we can see Chaos Agent being thrown off the ship. This surprises everyone. Why was Chaos Agent suddenly back, and what just happened to him? Some players have noticed that Megalodon looks very similar to Big Chuggus, but this actually isn't just a coincidence. Secretly, this has a huge meaning. Chaos Agent created Big Chuggus back in Chapter 2, and this is exactly the reason why he was with Meg. He was helping Meg create Nitro and use it to fuel himself, but once Meg got what he needed from him, he simply threw him out. Don't forget that we still have many more secrets to cover, just like the time that I was wrong about a huge secret. In my last storyline video, I spoke about a huge secret. In Grimgate, Cerberus is still there. Even though every boss has left besides a few, he remains for some reason. And you can actually ask him about this. When you do, he said that Hades left him there to wait for someone, and that she will come on the summer breeze, and he kept calling her Queen. I was blind for some reason and didn't even think about the Queen of the Underworld, Persephone. Now we have to talk about Pandora's box and the special spray about it. But don't forget, we have a giant secret for the end of the video that you cannot miss. The box is open, but the last and only time that the box is opened, it revealed lots of bad and evil. But when looking at the spray, it has peace signs and hearts. Interesting, right? Well, it doesn't end there. In Greek mythology, Pandora's box was opened twice, and the second time revealed hope for the evil that came from the first. Coincidence? No. I'm almost positive we will find Pandora's box and it will save us from the Wanderer that is coming. Speaking of the Wanderer, who is it? Before we get into that, we have to talk about one more Chapter 2 theory, and a few other secrets. Pay close attention here because we're about to dive into some huge theories. One thing to mention is that when I mention any island name, I am also talking about Greek mythology characters. I am only using the island images because that is what applies to this situation. Chapter 5 has been named Helios, and in Greek mythology, Helios is closely related to Apollo. Apollo was the Chapter 2 island codename. The sibling of Apollo was Artemis, and that was the Chapter 3 island. When you look at the name Helios, it means sun, and there's a name called Selene, which means moon. That is siblings with Helios, and also closely related to Artemis. I believe that this is not only showing us that Chapter 5 is replicating Chapter 2, but that there might even be a flip side revealing Chapter 6 to be codenamed Selene, replicating Chapter 2's ending. Okay, that might have been too much theory and looking too deep into things, but the rest are a lot more simple and very interesting. This bunker is still a huge mystery, but the good news is by the end of the video we will have this solved. right after you subscribe. Okay, one more incredible secret before we talk about the Wanderer. On the Chapter 5 island, Peely is here, but when you talk to him, the only thing that comes up is Nana Nana, which makes sense. He doesn't speak English. But that isn't the secret. The secret is that when wearing the banana skin, we can actually translate the words to what he is saying. Maybe this is why he's always confused, because he just simply doesn't understand. But when you do translate, this is what he says.
True wisdom, seedling, is embracing your limits. We cannot know everything in this world, but we can open our hearts to everything all the same.
Bruh. And before we talk about the Wanderer, there is one more Chapter 2 secret that we need to talk about. If you look at Season 1, the map looked like this. Season 2, the map looked like this. And in Season 3, this is what the map looks like. The map seems to be progressing more and more towards Chapter 2. At least that's what it looks like. The shape is becoming more and more like Chapter 2 as the chapter goes on. And this is where we finally start getting more information about the Wanderer. Because he's there, in the distance, hiding. After months of hearing about the Wanderer from others on the island, he is finally here for us to see him. But the Wanderer isn't the only worry on the island. There are a few characters that are threatening the island. One of them is inside the bunker that has finally opened. And now we get to see who or what was inside. If you pay close attention and listen, you will hear some very creepy music. This music almost makes you feel like you're being watched. The Wanderer will begin spawning in, watching us from a distance. But when we notice him and get closer, he will vanish. There is some huge information about the Wanderer that we haven't picked up on yet. Meg not only mentioned him, but gave us some vital information about discovering who the Wanderer might actually be. There are voice lines that Meg have that says, "Don't bother the Wanderer. He has important matters to resolve on the island, and don't try to peek under the hood to see his face. It is a vision beyond what your puny minds could comprehend. He never lets me see his face either." There are many hints to who the Wanderer could be. Some believe that it is the Shapeless Man, someone with a face that no one can comprehend and he just floats there. He is shapeless, and fits the description that Riftward and Stellan gave us in Chapter 4.
I cannot sleep. The Shapeless Man's gaze burns into me.
The tricky part is that some believe the Shapeless Man to be Geno, and some believe him to be the Nothing. Both fit the description. Adding on to the Geno theory, if Meg actually is Gunner, that would mean that this would be his second time working with Geno. Something interesting to note that was pointed out by Restro, if you compare the body size of the Foundation to the body size of the Wanderer, they match up perfectly. I'm not saying that's who it is, but regardless, it is a decently muscular person. But we have much more to talk about today, and don't forget that Five Nights at Freddy's might be coming to the game somehow. Hope could be possibly turning evil, and the bunker has finally opened. Hope and Jones have been working together still. Currently, they are looking for these strange gems so that they can find Pandora's box. But with Jones seeing what happened to Valeria, he warned Hope that when dealing with this kind of stuff, make sure not to get lost in it, as that is what happened to Jones with the 0 points. Hope shrugs it off though, but this might be vital to the rest of the storyline. If Hope isn't careful, we could see her turn to the dark side like her sister Valeria, and there is even more to this. In the recent voice lines, Hope tells us that each time she comes near these gems, she has a strange feeling, and she gets headaches and visions.
Scar seems to think you're cool, and she's willing to trade the gem. Bring that gem to me. We should talk.
The next gem is with a situation named Peabody.
You got the gem. Just one left. And it's with him. Megalodon. Something about being around these gems. It makes me feel, I don't know, nauseous, but in a good way. And this headache. And the visions. Don't tell Jones. I don't want him to worry. And we're so close to getting the good ending here. I'll be in touch.
This is weird. There seems to be a strange connection to Hope's family and Pandora's box. The same thing happened with Valeria. Let's hope that Hope doesn't take the same path as Valeria. We managed to collect every gem left besides one, and this last gem is with Megalodon. This isn't going to be an easy fight. Meg is clearly our enemy here, and I have a feeling he won't give it over to us. But who knows what will happen if the wrong person finds Pandora's box again. Cerberus was teasing something at the beginning of the season, and we just now got confirmation of what it was. Don't forget that we found out what was in the bunker, but we'll tell you after this. He kept calling the person Queen, and that they would come on a summer wind, and many players realized that it fit the description of Persephone, or Persephone, I have no idea how to pronounce her name, the Queen of the Underworld. And that guess would actually be correct, because she just arrived on the island. You can get her outfit in the crew pack. But finally, the bunker. And actually, players have found another bunker within this update. But I'll explain who was in this bunker first. The bunker has been revealed and no one expected what was inside. Before the bunker was opened, some players realized that there were scratch marks on the floor nearby, as if somebody struggled while being put inside. But who could make these scratches? Subscribe before I tell you. Wolverine, maybe? But Wolverine was exactly right. In fact, Weapon X. He was trapped inside of one of these tubes, but if you pay attention, there are 2 tubes. So who was in the other one? Well, one of them has a banana in it. And assuming that this is teasing who was inside, it might have been Wolverine Peely. Okay, I don't know about that one, but something crazy was teased with Wolverine's return. In his promo image, we can see a character that has been missing for years. Subscribe before I tell you, the Imagined. If you didn't know, the Imagined was a part of the Seven, and in the comics, she kinda had a little thing going on with Wolverine. But that isn't what's important. What is important is that they mentioned these comics. The Imagined died, fighting her father, Geno. But seeing her in game almost seems to be hinting at the return of Geno, maybe being the Wanderer. Now for the new bunker that was found. In the new Reload game mode, players have found an IO bunker hidden underneath tilted towers. This is really weird. Does the IO still exist? And this also isn't the only place that have IO bunkers. They have also found some in Lego. The bunker is opened and no one expected Wolverine to be inside. But that isn't the only thing that we were wrong about this season, because there is a huge unsolved mystery revolving around the Wanderer. Who is he? What is he here to do? Have we seen him before? All of these questions are still unanswered, but the Fortnite community has been jumping to too many conclusions, and they are completely incorrect. There's also a huge secret that everyone is missing, but that is for the end of the video. When asking the Fortnite community the simple question of who do you think the Wanderer is, everyone has a similar answer. Geno. But why does everyone think it's Geno? And is there any evidence? Well, yes and no. When looking at the Wanderer, we can see that he has no shape. The only part of him with a shape is his cloak. We know the Wanderer is here to do more evil than good, so with all of this in mind, we can safely guess that the Wanderer is most likely the Shapeless Man. But to get more information about the Shapeless Man, we need to go back to Chapter 4, Season 1, when a character named Stellan was asked to create a rift gate. But the character that tasked him to do this was someone that Stellan feared the most. Stellan called him a Shapeless Man, claiming that the Shapeless Man has stalked his dreams, haunted him, and tortured him. And he also snuck in the sentence that the Shapeless Man imagined a world of perfect order. This led to everyone thinking that the Shapeless Man was Geno, because Geno always wanted to make every reality perfect. So basically, people think the Shapeless Man is the Wanderer, and they think that Geno was the Shapeless Man. But with other information, it rules it out. Now, this line could also be talking about the last reality, because as seen by their name, they wanted to create the last reality and make it perfect. So this almost rules out Geno being the shapeless man from just that information, because the last reality also applies. Another piece of information that speaks against Geno: the Wanderer came from the Pandora's box. And why would Geno be trapped inside of Pandora's box? Now, when we say the last reality, I am talking more about the Nothing. The Nothing sounds more like who Stellan described, and the Nothing was, in fact, shapeless. There's another flaw with the shapeless man being Geno. Geno wasn't shapeless, but the argument is that Geno died and was rebuilt, and maybe after being rebuilt, he was shapeless. But I will give it to you. There are many things that the shapeless man said that seems to be like Geno. Is it even realistic to assume that the Nothing would return in Chapter 5? We don't know. That's why we all might be even more wrong than we thought. But I'll explain that in a minute. I won't completely get rid of the Geno theory, because there is a lot of evidence in Chapter 5 that Geno might be returning, such as the Ageless Explorer. He came to the island recently, and he's been looking around for some icy secrets. We don't know what this secret ended up being, but maybe it was the bunker hidden under the snow, or maybe there's something else hidden underneath the snow that we haven't seen yet. And then there's Odyssey, which seems to be either the sister or the female counterpart of Geno. And she's still on this island, we just don't know what she's planning to do. And then there's Wolverine. And if you didn't know, Wolverine and Imagined had a little bit of a thing going on. But Imagined was Geno's daughter. And in Wolverine's promo image, you can see the Imagined in the background. But this comic scene that she was from was actually the moment that she revealed that Geno was her father. It could all just be a big coincidence, but maybe it's not. And maybe Geno is going to return as the Wanderer. Or maybe the Wanderer is just a brand new character. I am not fully saying that the Wanderer can't be Geno, and I'm not fully saying that the Wanderer is the Nothing. What I am saying is that there is no idea to know as of right now. Just like we have no idea what Jones and Hope are doing. But don't forget, we have a huge secret at the end of the video that will explain everything. Oh, and by the way, subscribe to help me hit 20k subs by the end of the summer. Okay, I exaggerated. We know what Jones and Hope are doing, but we don't know why. Jones and Hope are searching for Pandora's box. All we are going off of so far is that Hope gets a weird feeling when around it, and that she feels like she needs to fix everything that is happening.
Something about being around these gems, it makes me feel, I don't know, nauseous, but in a good way. And this headache and the visions. Don't tell Jones. I don't want him to worry.
Headaches and weird feelings are pretty normal. Those could almost classify as regular. But the same cannot be said for visions. What are these visions that she's having? The only place that we've ever seen visions in Fortnite is Bunker Jonesy in Chapter 1 and the Nothing. I doubt that Bunker Jonesy is somehow related to this season, so does that really mean that she is currently being tricked by the Nothing? Personally, I don't think that's the case. But there's one more thing besides Bunker Jonesy and the Nothing that we overlooked: the Shapeless Man. In Chapter 4 Season 1, Stellan had visions from the Shapeless Man.
Tonight, I dream of stars, swallowed in darkness, and the shapeless man waiting. I cannot sleep. The shapeless man's gaze burns into me.
Could this actually be connected to the Wanderer? If the Wanderer is the Shapeless Man, maybe the Wanderer is trying to get inside of Hope's head. Maybe even luring out the Pandora's box a second time so the Wanderer can do something with it. Is this all one giant trick? I can assume it'll be like a Rift Warden Stellan situation where over the season they will reveal what kind of vision she's having. We know that opening Pandora's box for the second time in Greek mythology leads to hope for the evil released in the first opening. Maybe if we open it again, the Wanderer and Meg will be taken away. We also still have no idea where Valeria is. Will she come back soon, or will she stay missing until Chapter 6? But finally, a secret that will change Chapter 5 as we know it. Magneto is here, and he has begun building more and more rift beacons. No one knows what they are for, but the Marvel storyline seems to be a separate storyline from the Wanderer and Megalodon. So there must be something bigger and worse coming. something that Magneto is preparing for. Because it doesn't seem like he's preparing to take down the Wanderer. It seems like there's something bigger coming. So let's quickly recap. We have two choices. The Wanderer could either be the Shapeless Man or a brand new character that we've never seen. And for the Shapeless Man, we have three choices. 1, it's Geno. 2, it's the Nothing. And 3, it's a new character. Using given clues and hints, we can narrow down the Shapeless Man to be the Nothing rather than Geno. And the Wanderer also fits the description of the Nothing and the Shapeless Man. Hope has begun seeing some weird visions and feeling weird headaches. We can assume that this is from some powerful being, such as the Shapeless Man, the Nothing, or the Wanderer. Magneto is on the island and he's preparing for something huge. But he's preparing, he's not fighting. The Wanderer is already here, so if he was preparing, it would be too late, which means he's preparing for something other than the Wanderer, which means somebody huge is going to be coming. Use code PBJ, and for a full Chapter 5 recap so far, Season 1 to 3, watch the video on the screen. That'll help you catch up from everything up until this point.